Ski trips are meant to be about rest, cold air, and fun on the slopes, but behind the quiet mountains and fresh snow, there are risks that many people do not think about. One wrong move, one bad decision, or one sudden event can turn a holiday into a fatal scene. In this video, we will look at 5 of the most disturbing ski trip deaths ever recorded. These are real cases where a simple trip ended in a tragic and shocking way. It was December 21, 2025, in the Dermador Mountains of Montenegro. Sebastian Hürtner, a 34-year-old former professional football player from Germany, was on a winter holiday with his 30-year-old wife. The couple had traveled to the Savinkuk ski resort near the town of Zabeljak, a well-known skiing area in northern Montenegro. They planned to enjoy a calm break together on the slopes. It was meant to be a quiet trip. Instead, it became a day that changed everything. Sebastian was not an ordinary visitor. He had built a strong football career as a defender in Germany. He played for clubs such as 1860 Munich, Erzgebirge Aue, and Darmstadt in Germany's second division. In his youth, he represented Germany at the under-18 and under-19 levels, playing alongside future World Cup winner Christoph Kramer and Felix Kruse, the brother of Toni Kroos. At the time of his passing, Sebastian was the captain of ETSV Hamburg in the Oberliga, Germany's 5th tier. His club described him as committed, respectful, and someone who meant a great deal to his teammates. That Sunday afternoon, Sebastian and his wife boarded a double chairlift at Savinkuk. The resort sits between 1,515 and 2,212 meters above sea level and has about 4.7 kilometers of ski runs. It was around 1 p.m. The weather was normal for winter and other tourists were riding the lift as well. Nothing seemed out of place. While the chairlift moved along the cable, something suddenly went wrong. Reports later said the chair carrying Sebastian and his wife became detached from the cable. The chair began sliding backward at high speed, moving violently down the line. It traveled about 230 feet before crashing into the chair behind it. The impact was severe. Sebastian was thrown from the chair and fell about 225 feet to the ground below. When emergency responders arrived, he was declared dead at the scene. His wife remained trapped in the damaged chair high above the ground. She had seen everything happen and could not escape. She was injured and in extreme shock. Rescue teams rushed to the resort, but the situation was difficult. She remained suspended for several hours before crews were able to bring her down safely. Doctors later confirmed she had suffered a broken leg and took her to the hospital. At least 3 other tourists were also stranded in their chairs. They hung above the ground for hours, while rescue teams worked carefully to avoid further danger. The entire lift system was shut down. Firefighters, ambulances, and 4 helicopters were involved in the response, though reports differed on exact numbers. Officials quickly opened an investigation. Zabeljak Mayor Rados Zugic said the case would be handled with full seriousness, stressing the importance of visitor safety. Authorities ordered a detailed technical inspection to find out how the chairlift failed. Chairlifts are built with several safety systems, and a full detachment like this is very rare. Public concern grew when reports said the ski lift resumed operation the very next day. Many questioned how this decision was made while the investigation was still ongoing. News of Sebastian's death spread quickly. ETSV Hamburg announced the loss on December 23rd, followed by tributes from VfB Stuttgart and others. Messages from teammates and fans described him as talented, kind, and deeply respected. Sebastian was only 34 years old. What began as a holiday ended with his life lost, his wife injured, and many unanswered questions that remain under investigation. It was March 4, 2025, in the Chugach Mountains near Girdwood, Alaska. 3 lifelong friends stood at the top of a remote, snow-covered peak, preparing for a descent they had dreamed about for years. David Linder, 39, from Florida, Charles Eppard, 39, from Montana, and Jeremy Leaf, 38, from Minnesota. They all grew up together in Mankato, Minnesota, sharing childhood memories that stretch back decades. This trip was meant to be one more memory added to that list. They had traveled to Alaska to take part in heli skiing with Chugach Powder Guides, one of the state's oldest and most respected companies. Heli skiing involves being flown by helicopter to untouched mountain areas with no ski lifts, then skiing down through deep, fresh snow. It is expensive, exclusive, and considered a top-tier experience for advanced skiers. David Linder was an experienced and confident skier who had done heli skiing before. Back in Miami, he was known as a devoted husband and father of 3. He was also the co-owner of Subarctic Media, a company operating more than 20 talk shows and music radio stations across Minnesota, including Radio Mankato. The station had been passed down from his grandfather Don Linder to his father John, and then to David after John passed away in 2017. Charles Eppard was weeks away from turning 40 years old. He was described as a loving husband, dedicated father, and thoughtful person. He graduated from Gustavus Adolphus College in 2007 and began working for IBM in 2012, where he built a career in enterprise software sales. He was married to Brittany, and they had a young daughter named Belen. His younger brother John later shared that he looked up to Charles his entire life, especially because of his passion for skiing. Jeremy Leaf was the founder and CEO of Leaf Consulting Group, which he started in December 2023. He was a devoted Minnesota Vikings fan and a father of two. Friends remembered him for his constant laughter and energy. Like David and Charles, he believed in fully enjoying life. That afternoon, the three men were part of a larger guided group skiing a run that was regularly used. Avalanche conditions at higher elevations were rated as considerable, meaning the risk was present but not extreme. For experienced skiers with proper equipment and guides, it was a risk they believed they could manage. Around 3:30 p.m., at about 3,500 feet in elevation, the group began their descent. Suddenly, a voice came over the radio shouting a single word: avalanche. Within seconds, a massive wall of snow broke loose and rushed down the mountain. David, Charles, and Jeremy were directly in its path. All three deployed their avalanche airbags, backpacks designed to help skiers stay closer to the surface of moving snow. But the force was overwhelming. The slide traveled roughly 2,800 feet, finally stopping near 700 feet in elevation, burying everything beneath up to 100 feet of snow. One skier managed to escape and alert authorities. Guides used avalanche beacons to locate where the men were likely buried, but the snow was between 40 and 100 feet deep. Digging was impossible without heavy equipment and would have put more lives at risk. Poor weather prevented helicopters from reaching the site, and continued avalanche danger made recovery unsafe. On March 7th, officials announced that recovery efforts had to be paused. They stated they did not believe any of the men had survived. Families and communities across Minnesota, Montana, and Florida mourned. Fundraisers were created for the families of Charles and Jeremy, raising thousands of dollars quickly. Chugach Powder Guides released a statement offering condolences and support. Months later, in October, volunteers returned as conditions improved. On October 3rd, one set of remains was found caught in a log jam in a river below the slide area. It was later confirmed to be David Linder. On November 2nd, a second set of remains was recovered. As of November 2025, one of the three friends remains missing. They followed safety rules, used proper equipment, and trusted experienced guides. Still, the mountain had the final say. What began as a long-planned adventure ended with three friends never coming home together. It was March 16, 2009, at the Mont Tremblant ski resort in Quebec, Canada. Natasha Richardson, a 45-year-old British actress, was on a family trip with her husband, Liam Neeson, and their two sons, Michael and Daniel. Liam was filming a movie in nearby Toronto, and the family chose to spend time together during the production. That morning, Natasha decided to take a private ski lesson on a beginner slope called Nansen. She was not an experienced skier, but the slope was gentle and meant for learners. She was with a trained instructor, and everything appeared safe. Within hours, the day would take a sudden and irreversible turn. Natasha came from a famous acting family. She was born on May 11, 1963 in London, the daughter of actress Vanessa Redgrave and director Tony Richardson. Her grandfather, Michael Redgrave, was a respected stage actor. Natasha first appeared on screen at 4 years old in a film directed by her father. As she grew older, she worked to build her own career. She studied at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama and took on smaller roles before gaining wider recognition. She appeared in Patty Hearst, The Handmaid's Tale, and later played Elizabeth James in the 1998 version of The Parent Trap. Her greatest success came on Broadway, where she won a Tony Award in 1998 for Cabaret. In her personal life, she met Liam Neeson while working on Anna Christie. They married in 1994 and raised two sons together. Around noon on March 16th, Natasha fell near the bottom of the slope. She struck her head on the hard-packed snow. Falls were common on beginner slopes, and Natasha stood up on her own. She was alert, speaking clearly, and even made light of the fall. Still, the instructor felt the impact was serious enough to report. Ski Patrol examined her and found no visible injuries. She was advised to seek medical care, but she declined. At 12:43 p.m., paramedics were called as a precaution. She was taken to a nearby clinic, examined again, and showed no clear signs of injury. At 1:10 p.m., she signed a waiver refusing further treatment and returned to her hotel by 1:30 p.m. Inside her head, a serious injury was developing. The fall caused a fracture in the temporal bone, damaging an artery and leading to internal bleeding known as an epidural hematoma. This type of injury often includes a lucid interval, where the person feels normal while pressure slowly builds. During this time, Natasha called Liam and mentioned the fall casually. Just before 3 p.m., she developed a severe headache and became confused. At 2:59 p.m., paramedics were called again. She was taken to a local hospital and later transferred to a major trauma center in Montreal. Liam was notified and rushed to her side. Doctors showed him scans that confirmed severe brain damage. Natasha was being kept alive on life support but was already brain dead. She was later flown to Lenox Hill Hospital in New York. Surrounded by family and close friends, Natasha was removed from life support on March 18, 2009. Her passing was ruled accidental, caused by an epidural hematoma from a blunt head impact. She was honored privately by her family and publicly by the theater community. In the years after, Liam spoke openly about grief and said he visits her grave often. Natasha's organs were donated, helping others survive. Their sons later found their own ways to honor her memory. Her case led to wider awareness about head injuries and the importance of medical care after any blow to the head, even when someone feels fine. It was January 5, 1998, at Heavenly Mountain Resort in South Lake Tahoe, California. Sonny Bono, a 62-year-old former entertainer turned congressman, was on a family ski trip. He had skied at this resort for more than 20 years and knew the mountain well. That afternoon, he was skiing with his fourth wife, Mary, and their two children, Cesare, who was 9, and Kiana, who was 6. It was meant to be their final day on the slopes before heading home. Sonny never made it down the mountain. Sonny Bono had lived many lives. He was born Salvatore Philip Bono on February 16, 1935 in Detroit, to poor Sicilian immigrant parents. After his parents separated, he moved to Los Angeles at age 7. He left high school early and worked many jobs while trying to break into music. In the early 1960s, he became a songwriter and worked for producer Phil Spector. His life changed when he partnered with a young singer named Sherilyn Sarkeesian, later known as Cher. They married in 1969 and became famous as Sonny and Cher, with hit songs like I Got You Babe. From 1971 to 1974, they starred on The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour. Their marriage ended after years of tension and they divorced in 1975. After leaving entertainment, Sonny opened a restaurant in Palm Springs. Frustration with local rules pushed him into politics. He became mayor in 1988, helped grow tourism, and founded the Palm Springs International Film Festival. In 1994, he was elected to Congress, known for his humor and ability to work with others. In late December 1997, Congress went on break. Sonny and Mary took their children to Lake Tahoe, a place Sonny loved. They had been skiing since December 26th. By January 5th, friends had left, but the family stayed one more day. Sonny had ongoing back problems and had surgery in 1995 on his neck. He managed pain with prescribed medication but remained active. He was an experienced skier, though he had been in a skiing accident in 1996 that required stitches. Just days earlier, the family had discussed helmets after hearing about another skier's fatal accident. Sonny planned to get one later, but he was not wearing a helmet that day. He also chose tighter ski bindings, signing a waiver to keep them set higher than recommended. Around midday, the family started down the Orion Run. Conditions were sunny and calm. Sonny went first. When the children fell behind, Mary stopped to help. Sonny continued alone. When Mary and the kids reached the rest areas, Sonny was nowhere to be found. After searching for over 30 minutes, Ski Patrol was notified. By 4 p.m., he was officially listed as missing. Around 6 p.m., Mary was told the situation was serious. Soon after, authorities confirmed Sonny had been found after striking a tree. Investigators said Sonny left the main trail and skied through trees between two runs. He struck a lodgepole pine at about 30 miles per hour and passed away instantly from severe head and neck injuries. There were no witnesses and no signs of impairment. Mary was taken to the site and immediately knew it was him. Sonny was officially identified early on January 6th. News spread quickly. Media coverage exploded both at the resort and back in Palm Springs. The funeral took place on January 9th, attended by political leaders and friends. Cher gave a heartfelt speech offering comfort despite their past. Sonny was laid to rest in Cathedral City. After his passing, Mary served more than 14 years in Congress. A major copyright law was later named in Sonny's honor. Today, his name remains across Palm Springs, from highways to awards. He knew the mountain, the weather was clear, one choice changed everything, and his life ended in a single moment. It was February 24, 2010, at Squaw Valley Ski Resort in California. Charles Russell Johnson III, known to most people as CR, was 26 years old and back on the mountain he called home. He had grown up skiing here and knew the terrain better than almost anyone. That morning, he headed toward the Light Towers area, a steep and rocky section below the headwall lift. It was a line he had skied many times before, but this run would be different. CR was not just a skilled skier. He was a professional free skier, a 2-time Winter X Games medalist, and one of the early figures who helped change the sport. What made his presence on the mountain even more striking was what he had already survived years earlier, an accident that nearly cost him his life and should have ended his career. CR was born on August 10, 1983 in Truckee, California near Lake Tahoe. Squaw Valley was his backyard. The resort was famous for hosting the 1960 Winter Olympics and for having some of the most difficult terrain in North America. Steep chutes, wide bowls, and exposed rock faces were normal here. From a young age, CR spent his time learning tricks in the terrain park and skiing lines that most people avoided. His father worked as an avalanche forecaster at SQA for about 10 years, so CR grew up understanding the risks of the mountain and how to read it. In 1999, when he was 15 years old, CR made history by landing the first 1440 on skis, completing 4 full spins in the air. The skiing world took notice immediately. He was fearless and willing to try things no one else would. His career moved fast. At 17 years old, he won the Core Games quarter pipe competition in Japan. In 2001, he earned a bronze medal in Big Air at the Winter X Games. In 2002, he won silver in slopestyle and was nominated by ESPN Action Sports for Male Skier of the Year. In 2003, CR competed in the Winter X Games Superpipe, launching 20 feet above the walls and landing complex tricks. He earned bronze, and many believed he could have won gold without a crash near the lip. Around this time, he was also filming with major ski film companies, appearing in projects like Frontline, Focused, and WSK 106. He helped bring park-style tricks into big mountain and backcountry skiing, changing how people viewed the sport. Everything changed on December 8, 2005. While filming at Brighton Ski Resort in Utah, CR stopped after landing a jump. Another skier came down behind him and collided with him, striking him below the helmet. CR lost consciousness and was flown to the University of Utah Hospital. He spent 10 days in a medically induced coma. Doctors were unsure if he would survive. Slowly, he began to recover. He spent 34 days in the hospital and then months relearning basic skills through therapy. The recovery was hard, both physically and mentally. Still, he refused to walk away from skiing. By 2007, he returned to training, then shifted his focus to filming and backcountry skiing. He helped start a film company, designed a pro model ski, took online college classes, and continued traveling. In January 2010, he placed third at the Red Bull Linecatcher event in France, proving he was back at a high level. Friends noticed he had a new outlook on life. He often spoke about feeling grateful for every day he could ski with friends in places he loved. That brings us back to February 24, 2010. Squaw Valley had received 12 to 14 inches of fresh snow. As CR skied the Light Towers area, another skier saw him lose control after catching an edge on exposed rock. He fell and struck his head and neck. Ski patrol arrived within minutes and attempted emergency care, but it was too late. CR was taken to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead due to severe head injuries. The loss shook the skiing world. Friends, fellow athletes, and fans mourned someone who had pushed the sport forward and lived fully on the mountain. CR Johnson is survived by his parents, Lorraine and Russ, and his older sister, Khalil. A service was held on March 5, 2010. CR once said the joy he found in skiing made every risk worth it. He spent his life doing what he loved, on the mountain that shaped him. He was 26 years old.